I do too. I do too. I know.
John, nice to meet you guys. Help yourself, all right?
We are with Wildlife Protection Solutions, and we are happy to join you today, the Global Action Day. And you have three founders, Dave Weidner, Eric Schmidt, myself, Sue Thompson, and we are the founders of Wildlife Protection Solutions. And what we do is we use technology to help save endangered species and ecosystems.
Welcome everyone to the annual WPS Fundraiser. I'm David Levin. For those of us who haven't met, I'm the CEO of Four Winds Interactive. And I see some fellow FWIers in the audience, and that's where we are tonight. This is our corporate headquarters. And we're very pleased to welcome you into our Customer Experience Center. We've been a supporter of WPS almost since the very beginning, both monetarily and through the donation of our product, which you see on screens here in the wall and across the office. And I was thinking about tonight, and you know that quote, those who are crazy enough to think they can change the world, they usually do. That's WPS. I remember when it started 6, 7, 8 years ago, talking to Dave and Eric and Sue about what at that point was a figment of their imagination, using technology to save endangered species all over the world. And I look at what's happened since then. See it on screens here. You're going to hear about it from Eric and his fellow WPSers. And it's truly remarkable. So we're very pleased to support WPS. We're going to continue supporting WPS. We're thrilled that you're here and are also interested in supporting WPS. Welcome to our annual fundraiser. Welcome to Four Winds Interactive. And please welcome the Executive Director of WPS, Eric Schmidt.
Thank you. Thank you for not only that incredible introduction, but also hosting us here tonight. I'd also like to thank all of the WPS staff who've done an incredible job of putting this together for us tonight. And I think you'd all agree this is quite an incredible setup, and so a big round of applause, please. And also thank you all for coming tonight. It means an incredible amount to not only me, but the various protected areas that we're working with, that you took time to come out and support the work that we're doing and animals that we're protecting. So
poaching has just escalated to being something really, really serious, and it's a war literally every day of our lives. Now you can start with the silent killer, that's the snare poaching, and then obviously the poaching of the rhinos and elephants and so forth. If we can start with, just to give you an idea where snare poaching is coming from. It's an age-old way of collecting food, from villages and so on. But unfortunately, over the years, with the private landowners and so forth, people are moving into private game reserves, and they don't collect meat just for food. It started becoming a commodity to get physical money for what they caught. But they go in and they literally got all different ways of snares, making wire snares, the old, what do you call them, the traps, claw traps and all of that. And they will put out hundreds of these snares. They don't put one or two out, they put 100 out. And they will go back after a day or two and they will find an animal and take that animal and move out. Never mind the rest of the snares that's still out there. So you get elephants that lose the tip of the trunk. The other day we found a hyena that was busy chewing off his paw to get rid of the snare around his foot. So it's such a horrible way of dying. And typical, Cory just been to Uganda, and it was mind-breaking to see what he got from Uganda.
Yeah, and to elaborate a bit further on what Pierre's saying, just to show you the size of it, I'm going to give you guys a few examples of some photos. I was working with the Ugandan Wildlife Authority, and one of these images, and what you can see here is a snare similar to this. What the animals do is there's a hole in the ground that's dug in here, and as the animal walks in, this goes through their leg. Now what that does is it slows the animal down and annoys them enough and leaves tracks of blood so that they can come back, track the animal, and eventually take it out of there. And you can see how small this is. This is usually for small plains game that they're trying to catch. But it's a very terrifying way to get caught. As you can go back here, Eric, to the claw traps. These are quite large, as you can imagine, and they carry these things open about 63 miles in and place them all over the place. So not only are the animals endangered, but also the couple of hundred rangers that are out there collecting these are getting hit and tripped by them, which injures them significantly. And as you can imagine, to get out of there and get help is quite hard when you're that far in the bush. This right here, just as an example, they dig a hole, place these in wood sticking straight up, and these are about this big. And these are when an elephant steps into that hole, it will go into its foot, thus injuring the elephant, and eventually the elephant will get an infection and fall over, and then they'll track it and take its tusk. So it's a very brutal way. So to explain a little bit further on this, you can imagine the size of this warehouse. The Ugandan Wildlife Authority took me here. This is one of 4 armories that's filled with, this is snares, wire snares is what Pierre was just talking about. Over here is the end of these spears, which they use to finish off the animal. And you can see the different hides they collected, the other kinds of snares, which were the barb snares that he just showed. Imagine this, 1 in 4, and this was caught over 4 years. 1 of 4 buildings filled with these over 4 years. And that's what they found. So you can see the mass of this. Now this was only at one part, Murchison Falls, which is roughly 400,000 hectares. And they have no villages living on the inside, so they're all on the outside. And you can imagine how devastating this can be to the population of animals.
The world is losing species at an undetermined and extremely fast rate. I say it's undetermined because no one really knows how fast we're losing species because the habitat loss is so rapid. But I know of several very charismatic species. The Hainan gibbon is one example. The Hainan gibbon has only 20 individuals left. They are a very compelling primate species. And once you see them and once you relate to them and interact with them, you realize that you want to pass this genetic heritage down to future generations. And to me it will be very sad if our generation is thought of as the generation that drove these species extinct and made it only viewable by our generation and not for future generations. So I would really love it if this event helped to save those critically endangered species so that we can pass on the genetic heritage of the earth to future generations.